What's up, everybody? It's Kyle with another episode of Unlocking Your Inner Strength, episode 377. So I turned 42 last week on Thursday, as you may or may not know from social media. And the reason people would know that is because I talked about the ritual, what I've done the past few years leading up to my birthday, and why I do that. So we had a great couple of days. Thursday, we had a nice family dinner. We broke my fast with my feast with Mexican. Devin and the kids, Devin more so Braxton, they made red velvet chocolate cake for me, which is like the best. Oh, it's so good, so filling. And then Friday, Devin and I went out on a date to the country club that we joined. A lot of people are saying, why do you join a country club? You don't look like a country club person. You don't really golf. And that is true. We did the social membership to meet some new people. It's all about relationships, guys. Life is all about relationships. Put yourself in a position where you can meet other people that interest you and that find you interesting. It's not that complex. Then you can have great conversation. You never know who you're going to meet. So we did that Friday. We got we got seafood. Mexican was Thursday. Seafood buffet. And this country club is like the hidden secret. Like, this is the best restaurant in the county. And the food I've had so far would kind of put it up there with that. But you can't go in unless you're a member, which I like. So we had a couple birthday beers. We had 2 IPAs, and then we did an after dinner drink. And man, even 2 IPAs is a lot for me now. So I don't have beer as often as I used to. But when I have it, I make sure that it serves a purpose, as far as it's commemorating something. And sometimes, guys, that could just be hanging out with a friend. But it's got to mean something. Like, you can't just mindlessly drink, in my opinion. So afterwards, we went and sat when we were having the after dinner drink on these chairs that overlooked the property. And having a sip of liquor 43, we both like that. I'm looking up. And I see something going through the sky. Like, what is that? And nobody else sees it, so it's pretty much dusk at this point. Actually, in the video, which I posted, you might hear some kids, I think, in the background that saw it. But it was a train of like 8 or 9 lights, all in succession. It was not a meteor. I've seen meteors before. Going pretty slow to the visible eye, to the naked eye, across the sky. Now, you could definitely think it was a UFO. However, the week before, I was at a party and my friends, Bill and Zandria, were telling me they had just seen what they thought was a UFO. It turned out it was the Neuralink train going out to orbit. So I saw the Neuralink train, Elon Musk. Now, you got to look that up if you don't know what that is. That's an interesting thing. I believe it's a satellite technology that was going up that they want to use to tap into people's brains that decide to get the chip. So you're essentially like a cyborg in a way, which people will be like, man, this is the best thing ever. I think that's like the mark of the beast, one of them. But don't give up your human body, guys. But that's a different topic. We'll save that for the silliness report. And people want me to change the name of that to something more serious, which I might. So I see it, and I got it on video, so that was pretty cool. And then Saturday, I had said, okay, let's go to see a matinee. I love going to the movies. We don't go that much as of late. I used to go with my grandfather all the time. I used to go to movies all the time by myself. I might start doing that again weekly. I got to pick and choose what movie I'm going to see. I won't support any nonsense. Monetarily, I should say. So we're going to see Meg 2, which was way over the top, outlandish. The first one was way better. But before we went, I worked out, Devin worked out. I went to work with an athlete, and then came home. We had like an hour or two. The chicks were hatching, so I think we got like 14 chicks now. And then we had this big piece of bamboo. If you could see, if you're watching on Facebook Live, you see where I'm sitting. We got like this bamboo wall back here. We didn't plant the bamboo. The people before us did. Bamboo's pretty crazy, but it can be insidious. So I cut one that was hanging down. I got it in the fire pit over there because I'm going to burn it, because if you throw it anywhere, it's going to grow wherever you throw it. But then we had this plant. We had a couple big weeds. We got landscapers now. But I thought this thing was a big weed up near the mailbox. It's kind of overgrown, the mailbox. It was pretty like purple color. Some kind of weird bug was on it, flying around. Almost looked like an insect version of a hummingbird. So I said, I'm going to cut this thing out. This weed has been here too long. So I chop it up, get rid of it. We go to the movies. We come back. I'm like, Susie, you got to see what I did. I took down that bamboo. I did this. Check out how clear the mailbox is now. She's like, don't tell me you got rid of the butterfly tree. Instantly, I'm like, oh my gosh, I cut down a tree that she liked. I thought it was a weed, though, in my defense. But she made a good point to me. So I guess we'll kind of segue into what I learned turning 42. As I turned 42. One of the things. So after we were laughing about it later, she's like, look, you can't have it both ways. You can't have a landscaper and try to do the landscape. Now, I wasn't really trying to do landscape, but the point taken. I understood what she was saying. I should have asked the landscaper, asked her, and old habits sometimes come back to rear their ugly head when you think, oh man, I got to do this stuff around the yard. Well, we got somebody to do that now, so I don't need to do that. But the point of you can't have it both ways. Where are you straddling in life where like you're not committing fully to something? Look at your commitment if you want to, figure out why do I have or not have the results that I want. Think about that question. As I say it, I'm reflecting, man, how committed are you to X, Y, and Z? How committed are you to building your newsletter worldwide? There's a lot more I can do, right? So, working on that stuff, getting that mindset right. Now, when I turn the past couple of years, when I have my birthday, when I do going into the week, and this year was just an inspiration from God. I didn't plan this out. So this was actually year 2 of doing this. Year 2 of this specific format. So when we were down the shore on vacation a couple weeks ago, the thought popped in my head. Do a 96, do a 4-day fast. Now, I hadn't done that since I did Indigo last year. And by the way, this is a birthday watch gift from myself to Devin, to myself from Devin. And it's a pretty cool G-Shock, but it's got I like the colors, the Aurora Borealis colors, and it's limited edition. It's pretty cool. So getting back to what I was saying, so the inspiration came to me to do a 4-day fast heading into my birthday. Last year it was a 3-day fast. My birthday was on a Wednesday. This year it was on a Thursday. And initially, the ego tried to talk myself out of it. That, hey, you got it, Dana. Like, the ego says, you don't need to do this. It's your birthday week. You don't have to do a 4-day fast. I didn't feel like doing it in the flesh, guys. So the inspiration came. And I brought it up to Devin at the beach, when these ideas come together. Should I do a 4-day fast next week, take it into my birthday, push back Mexican night, which I love. We'll do it on my birthday, and I'll feast, but I'll fast for the 4 days, right? She goes, well, I wouldn't do it if it was me, but, you're different, so. But I knew once I had the thought that I had to do it. Like there was no not doing, if that makes sense. So do that. So we start the week with that. Went for a 3.5 mile run Wednesday on day 3 of the fast. So going into Thursday, I said, okay, tonight, so the eve of my birthday, Wednesday night, I had planned out that I was going to do a magic mushroom psychedelic trip, which I got into in 2020, and I usually do about 2 big trips a year where I go inward. Right, I figured out the dosing. I sit out here near the fire pit at night when everybody's sleeping. So I had that planned for Wednesday. So I get that going Wednesday. Sitting out there and already starting to get insights. And before I kind of tell you what I did on the trip and how I do that, for those of you that are interested, well, I'll come back to the main takeaway. I'll hold that. You got to stay to the end to hear it. So I'm sitting there. I got my Bible with me. I got my trusty notepad, purple notepad. Because I don't know what thoughts are going to be put into my head. Like, you really get into another dimension. And this is why plant medicine fascinates me. And the further up the chain you go, if you do like DMT or ayahuasca, from my understanding, I haven't done them yet. Key word is yet. but you can really go to these other dimensions. And that happened to me the first time with a huge magic mushroom trip in 2020. But nonetheless, you get these answers, right? Like you're directly communicating with God. And I knew it was just going to be timely because I was starting to lose joy with certain things. So I had my Bible. I had conversations with God, which I didn't wind up reading anymore that night. My phone, right? I was going to listen to some music. And I had the fire going. And I start recording. It's funny, right? How you go on this journey. You don't know what the heck's going to happen. One of the clients had messaged me, hey, what's the Indigo Panda? I must have missed that call. So I told him he's going to be doing that eventually. So I said, you know what? Let me record it on my phone. That way when other people need it, boom, here you go. I don't have to redo this every time. Like leverage, right? I'm like, this should go right on the website. So I leverage it. So I start talking, and the time slows down when you're doing this stuff. So the first segment was like 8 or 9 minutes. But I start going on these tangents on other stuff, how it was created, the indigo, how this connected to this childhood memory, blah, blah, blah. So all over the place. And I was getting really lost in it, man. I'm like, this is fascinating. Reflecting on it and how it all ties together when you actually take the time to think about it. So then I pause it. I'm like, I gotta come back at the end of the night and finish this. So it's almost like a movie. Like you start with this, almost like Stand By Me, with Richard Dreyfuss when he's like writing the book at the beginning, and then boom, the whole movie is them as children, and then at the end they finish back in his office. So kind of like a scenario I'm picturing like that. But then I go, I'm sitting there messaging a few people. And I said, let me call Budgie, my older brother. Right? So we have, all me and my brothers, we all have great relationships. And you go to each of them for different things. So let me call him and just catch up. We wound up talking for 2 hours. Right, 2 hours, and it was really reminiscing about childhood and what impacted me. Well, I was fascinated by it. He didn't even have recollection of a lot of this stuff. So the introspection, and I think that's different for everybody. And one of the things I kept coming back to, though, was like, you know, talking with him and then being in that state of mind was everything. I always say it, but then just feeling it in that moment. Everything is mental. Everything is mental. That is very empowering. It can also be very fearful. So what that means, you are the creator of your reality. You are made in the image and the likeness of the Creator. That's what that means. And think about this. On my coaching call with Matt Fury, Matt's coaching me again for the year. He drops bombs. I mean, it's amazing. But we were talking about we talk about Bigfoot, right? Like that's a good chunk of our call. It's funny, and we had no idea that each other was into Bigfoot. And so now we talk about that, share stories, but it leads to a lot of lessons. Anyhow, we were talking about the power of creation, and Matt says, look, you know, and that's my belief with the made in the image and likeness creator. He goes, anytime you create something that didn't exist before, your energy is like boundless, it's limitless. Right, the creative process. And I was like, man, you know, that's what I've been missing. So I have my key impact areas I wrote down yesterday. I got to get back to focusing on. There's got to be 10 hours a week of creating, like written manuals in my books, and like that's the stuff I like to do. I love that stuff. I love everything, but I think that's my favorite. And a while back, that was like my vision. Build this giant newsletter that just kills it and gives people such good information and gets them on the right path, thinking differently, and gets their fitness in track. Like there's nothing else like it. So if you want that, let me know and I'll send you the link. It's $99 a month though, it's not free. But within that even, I have all this cool stuff. Like there's a workout you can do for the whole month with videos. Like that alone is worth hundreds of dollars. And then it's exclusive articles I write. But nonetheless, so getting insight with all that stuff. So the stuff that impacted me, getting back to my story, did not impact Budgie the same. Not at all. Which is just fascinating. And it was really good, you know, just talk some things through. We wrap up our call, come back. I finished recording a couple minutes of the Indigo Panda. So that's wrapped up. And I just had this overwhelming feeling of peace. And I knew that I had everything I need in life. It became profoundly clear to me that everything's exactly as it should be right now in my life. That doesn't mean I'm not going to higher levels, but it means you're right where you are supposed to be. And this was the big one. You've got everything you could ever need. And what that meant was my family and my friends, all my relationships. I'm thinking about my family like I was having this when I went inside then, right? Man, I go look at the kids when I finish those nights because I'm like, surreal. You have it right here. Why overlook it? Don't overlook it. It's right in front of you. Everything. Something I read yesterday from a book I just finished, recommended to me by another client. How did he phrase it? It was something to the effect of live your children's childhood. Live your children's childhood. Be there with them. Be in those moments. Work's not more important than your kids. It's just not. Nothing's more important than them. The time you have with your wife or your husband. So I went to bed just feeling extreme peace, and knowing that stay in it, stay on the journey, ask for guidance and you're going to receive it, but don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. So I went to sleep. It was about 1:30 by the time I wrapped stuff up. And then I got to be up in like 4 hours because I had the Barbarian Challenge scheduled for the next day. So that's part of my initiation, how I initiate myself. The fast, psychedelic trip, extreme physical challenge. So Haas Media, my crew, my boys, they meet me over there, Owner, Okan, and Dan. And they're going to do it with me, modified a little bit, but they're also going to video. So we're going. So Barbarian's a mile walk, 70-pound kettlebells, 80-pound vest, dragging 3 to 4 plates on the sled behind you for a mile. And it might sound miserable, and it is. But that's the point of it. So I say, okay, I'm going to do this while I'm fasted, coming off the trip, coming off a little sleep. And I was cruising. I'm coming back on lap 1, so there's 2 laps to make the full mile. And I actually got this on video, and I started going faster. Not jogging, but like I was moving. Boom! Like somebody put a knife in my left calf. Right in it, and twisted it around. I did the same thing to my right calf last year. I knew right away, so I dropped the weights. And next week, I'll be having some tips for how I can heal at a superhuman rate. I'm actually going to make a book about this because it is fascinating. Like my calf is 90% good to go now. That's a 6 to 8 week injury for most people. I follow my protocols. Anyhow, that pops. It's like, shoot, I can't use the sled anymore because I just can't even move my leg. Like shooting pain, can't dorsiflex, plantar flex. It was really the soleus muscle coming up the gastroc. Bad strain. Swelling. So I got to finish somehow. So I left my vest on, and there was a sandbag out there, about 140 pounds. Probably still had another little less than a quarter mile. It's a good distance. So I'm going to finish with this. I'm going to get the sandbag in, not over my shoulder. I'm going to carry it. So I hobbled, put it down, hobbled, put it down, and I finished. So the intentional challenge became a spontaneous challenge in the moment. Right before that, there were guys, when they were getting some video of me going, I was like, it's all in the mind. Like, what are you going to do when you put up to the test? They did, this is your option. Then boom, it really was put up to the test. What did I do? I knew I couldn't just not do it. So I finished it like that. I didn't go back for the second half of the mile, but I finished where I was at when the extreme challenge was placed in front of me. Right? And it's like, you might think you know what the plan is, but you don't. But all the stuff you've been training yourself to do, mentally, spiritually, physically, I'm going to test it. And that's God's words. That's what I believe. I'm going to test it. Maybe when you're not expecting it, or maybe to get to the next level. So just being mindful, appreciating. And I guess I'll close with this. It was, a number of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and I had the vision. We had an event at the gym, and I was talking with some of the guys, and I said, man, I got this feeling I'm going to make it to 41, and that's it. So the ego is relieved. I'm 42 now. But as I shared that with Devin as it got closer, because you never know, man, maybe that's right. Right? It helps you live in this sense of urgency, but it was, the more it became clear to me coming into the calendar year, I was like, it's not a physical death, it's the old death. It was the death of the old Kyle. I knew that, and I could feel it. All right, so those are my lessons from turning 42, guys. We'll see how the year goes. I think it's going to be the best year yet. And thank you guys for the support, as always. Panda Man Official, I made website notes, so you're going to be seeing some changes on the website. So make sure you get on that email list so you can find out about stuff like my Panda Man newsletter and different books I'm coming out with, different programs, all that stuff. If you need coaching, you can find it all over there. Thank you, though, guys, for the support. Really appreciate you guys. Give me somebody to talk to. And it's good. I know that people are listening because people message me. So it's good. And hit the like, comment, share it if it impacted you. I'll catch you guys later.